So I will present a bit myself, who I am and where I come from. So I come from the EMPA, which is the Swiss Federal Laboratory for Material Science and Technology. I'm working in Toul in the laboratory of Patrick Hoffman, where we have actually 3 to 4 research groups. So the first one is from Patrick, which is based on optical materials and coatings. The second group is in Dubendorf, is with Christian Leinenbach, where they develop new alloys, in particular for additive manufacturing. The third group is from Marc Leparoux, who deal with everything which is nanoparticles, mixing nanoparticles with material, transport of nanoparticles. And the last group is actually my group, which is dynamical processes. So we try to monitor in real time various processes. And if you look at all the group, it starts to be evident that additive manufacturing will be one of the main competences, because we have in Thun all the competences to take care of this problem, from the materials, the laser material interaction, the monitoring, and the powder. On my side, I work in many fields. So one is tribology, one is fracture mechanics, and a lot of laser processing, laser material interaction. But what links the three actually is the process monitoring. And we try to develop monitoring system and control system so that we can have good processes. And to do that, actually, we have a very kind of specific way. So we have a process, whatever it is. So it can be tribology, can be fracture mechanics, can be laser. And then we record the signal, whatever, acoustic, optic, whatever, or else. And then we use this signal, we pre-treat this signal, and then generally what we try to do, because the process is very dynamical, the sensor have a lot of information, and if we try to find what is out this information, it's extremely complex. And to reduce a bit the complexity, we go and we use this kind of machine learning or artificial intelligence. And if we do that, actually we can be quite successful in terms of processing, monitoring. It goes really fast. Generally, we are in the millisecond decision to say if the piece is good or is bad. And the next step in our group is actually to avoid this defect and reject the piece, but is to make a control that actually lead to, in bracket, free defect. So that is a bit on my side. And then I pass the word to David Müller from Adobe Solution.
Thank you very much. So first of all, maybe sorry for my English. I will do my best. So yes, David Müller. I'm business development manager working for Adobe Solution. So Adobe Solution is a 3D printing provider. So we're coming from Michelin. Adobe Solution is a joint venture between Michelin, which one you know, I'm sure, and the FIB. And just to summarize in a few seconds, okay, not this one, Michelin started to work on 3D printing for the tooling activities, to create some tools for the tires at the beginning of 2000, something like that. The first machines, the first printer, 3D printer, was arrived in Michelin in 2007. And since 2007, they work on this technology. What is important to understand is Michelin produce currently around 1 million parts per year in 3D printing for toolings. Okay, and just to summarize, I like to say that Adobe is the first external R&D of Michelin. Okay, and so what you can find in Adobe currently. So I say that we are a 3D provider, so we have different technology. Xavier, my colleague, will speak about DAD in a few seconds. We have LBM inside, and we use some EBM machines, so electron beam matching too. But that's not all of our activities. We have an activity regarding parts, and I will speak about that in a few seconds, and about services. The reason of this is very clear and very simple. 3D printing is something quite new for a lot of companies. And the first step is to understand how you can use this kind of technology and what you can do with this kind of technology. So that's why we develop the parts more to do some proof of concept or something like that, not for serial production, okay? But to help customers and our clients to understand what they can do and how they need to implement 3D printing in the company. So that's why you have this wide possibility inside Alop. And so Xavier?
Hello, so I'm Xavier Fru from BIM company. So today part of Adobe Group. So for the company I am a business developer for several countries and especially Switzerland. So about BIM, just a quick word about the story. We used to be a startup created in 2012. 2016 we built and installed our first industrial machine, as we are machine manufacturer in additive manufacturing. And in 2018, in June, we have been a part of Adobe Group. Our history is based on aerospace application because of the materials, titanium. We work a lot with R&D. So a quick word about the technology. DED technology is one of the technology you can see on the metal additive application. The principle is transportation of a powder directly where you build a shape. And this technology offers the possibility to repair parts, and we have a qualified application in aerospace in repair, to add feature and then mix the conventional manufacturing, that means forging, casting, machining, and also to say it's not so additive won't, I would say, do everything, but it's a combination of what works and is productive with what is innovative. And to finish, we are also able to build complete parts. So, as a machine manufacturer, we have a range of 3 different machines based on the same principle and on which we have a build volume from 2050 to 1 cubic meter. So with the advantage of the technology to be also able to do multi-material.
My name is Marcus Donner. I'm the product line manager at Coherent Switzerland. Coherent Switzerland used to be known as LASAC, and we were founded in the 70s. Our lasers dedicated to drilling of watch stones. So we came from the very heart of watch manufacturing, and from there our lasers and applications that we developed focused on microprocessing in cutting, welding, scribing or drilling applications. Today we're still focused on applying this knowledge based on more sources within the Coherent group. Now we are part of Coherent, the biggest laser manufacturer worldwide, focused on scientific and lasers for material application. A quick word on my background. I'm not from the laser industry. I came in 7 years ago, but before worked always in areas where you needed production lines for high volume production. So whether it was in solid wood processing or in PV industries, and then later on laser. So have a background in production processes and knowledge of process flow.
Yes, good afternoon, everybody. I'm a little bit the stranger here in the group because I'm coming from Presitech in Germany. Nevertheless, Presitech is also working in Switzerland. We have a subsidiary here in Neftenbach, which is doing a lot of software technology for these components Presitech is famous for. And this is the divisions Presitech is active, and we try to combine manufacturing devices with sensor technology. And this is, I would say, our unique selling position. You cannot buy any processing head from Presitech without sensors. If we start here on the left with cutting, Presitech is selling about 4,000 cutting heads per year to all cutting applications you find worldwide. And one of the key technologies, sensor technologies in cutting, is the capacitive distance control. And I still think our distance control is worldwide the best. And if we proceed to the right, we also are active in joining technologies, in additive manufacturing, and we also provide a solution for 3D and 2D flatbed cutting machine makers, which is a combination of laser, light cable and cutting head. And if we go to the far right of this slide, you see the sensor technology. You also find Precitech here on the show. So we are building sensors for many applications, from aerospace to medical applications to watchmaking applications. And what my task is at Precitech since 25 years, I take a look on collaborative projects with university and industrial partners, and by doing that we always try to improve our technology. So this is what we see as our company profile. This was put by our marketing department, but you see we just bring laser technology into the market by using the best technology with respect to beam guidance and to sensors, and to, in the end, being able to control processes. And I think all the sensors we are using are quite fit for Industry 4.0 and for artificial intelligence, which is nowadays one of the hypes we are faced. Thank you very much.
Hello everybody, I'm Bernd Neuenschwander from the Bern University of Applied Sciences. Originally I studied physics in Bern, was developing lasers, and then in 2000 I changed the field. No longer development of laser, I try to use them. It's a completely different thing sometimes. And I'm dealing with surface structuring with ultra short pulses since now about 20 years. That's my topic. We are trying to optimize processes, to find best parameters to do processes, and to make some nice patterns on surfaces. And we are also dealing with the topic of increasing the speed of these processes up to industrial level so that they become really economical, and that's more or less the topic where I'm working in. Besides this, I'm also working a little bit for Swiss. Sometimes I'm leading the optics section of SSOM, and I am active in some other fields or conferences. That's more or less.
Yes, good afternoon from my side as well. So I'm here as a non-technical guy, probably. I come from the Swiss Innovation Agency. I want to bring a bit of information to this roundtable of how the Innovation Agency supports innovation in general, but this domain in particular. I have one slide on our 4 domain of activities. So we help, first of all, entrepreneurs. So we do training for entrepreneurs, startup coaching programs. We help startup internationalize with internationalization camps. But then we help also, and mostly SMEs, so Swiss SMEs, to harvest knowledge and research competencies from the Swiss universities. So we do that with the Be Connected logo up there. So we help and support thematic networks. We help and support SMEs via mentors, via innovation mentors. And the goal of all of these activities is a bit to be the motor for then innovation projects. These innovation projects are where we mostly spend our money, our budget. These can be these are bottom-up projects, so there's no thematic, but we've seen that especially in the photonics area, engineering area, there's a lot of activity going on. And then, so InnoSwiss was previously the CTI, and one of the big differences of InnoSwiss is that now we also manage a series of international programs, international funding activities. So this is the last icon up there, go global. In these international activities, we can help SMEs or researchers at universities or big companies in Switzerland find partners abroad. So if you're looking for competencies that you cannot find here, we can help you network. But we also support SMEs financially if they have a partner in another European country and they want to set up, for example, a 2 years innovation project. There is a possibility to receive money and support. So this is for a first overview.
Ok, thank you very much. Donc, pour les francophones qui ne comprennent pas l'anglais, je rappelle que il y a des casques qui sont là-bas où la traduction simultanée anglais-français, elle se fait. I have prepared some questions on this field of advanced photonic and modern machining, but of course you are more than welcome to ask any of the experts to answer your questions. So just put the hands up if there is something that's burn your tongue, and don't be shy. You know, we try to bring these people here not so that you just listen, but hopefully you can also try to learn something or take a home message for your company, for your research institute, or whoever is your company. As I said, so we have some kind of two topics, which is advanced photonics, which is really broad, and we have also modern machining, which is also really broad. And maybe my question to you, Emil, to start with is, and also to Beat, if the other have also an opinion, don't be shy. You also, how are important this field, mainly I would say for Switzerland first, you know.
Yes, so as I said, so most of our support is bottom-up, so we actually receive topics and we evaluate all science-based innovation the same. But I have to say, so in the photonics field, especially for 7 years now, we are supporting a national thematic network, and there's only 10 active in Switzerland, so this means already that the field is important. On top of that, this NTN is one of the most active in the domain. So these NTNs, just to explain it a bit more, have the mandate from us to animate the community, so to bring people together from industry, from academia, to generate innovation projects, to create networking events, and to help also access national and international funding opportunities. And in particular, this NTN, Swiss Photonics, is active in the European technology platform Photonics 21. And they started up an international funding program, which is actually active now. So one deadline is in July. It's called Eureka Photonics funding opportunity. You find all the information also on our website or by contacting me. And this is a great opportunity because there's a specific budget dedicated for innovation projects on the photonics domain. So that's in particular some funding opportunity that we set up in the field in Switzerland.
And on your side, Beat, from having both casket in research, is these topics easy to have, or do you have a lot of demand from industry, or is it more that you have to go to the industry, and how do you feel its importance?
I think it's for Switzerland it's very important because it's really fits the tradition of quality and precision which Switzerland is very known for, or very well known for. So this topic is for me really a must in Switzerland. And I would say it's okay. We have interest from industry. They not always fit with ours. It's okay. But I think there is a big interest in the industry to work in this field. Yeah.
Okay. From company side, how also in your country, how advanced photonics and modern manufacturing, is it an important topic? Is it like in Switzerland, for example, one of the research thema that is supported in particular? Maybe Dr. Kogel-Hollhascher?
Actually, I can speak for Germany in that case, and we had a lot of support from government side in the last 25, 30 years. And this changes a little bit. We are facing a time where photonic support changes to quantum technologies. This is the new buzzword which is used by German government. And German government also says quantum technologies is a photonic application, so we will see. But the use of photonic tools in manufacturing maybe will not be supported as it was in the former years. So that's why we are facing different times. This maybe is true for European basis for the new framework program in Brussels as well. So actually we will see. But I would say, just based on the experience of the last 30 years, the success of photonics companies in Germany is definitely a success of German funding programs. And as this is my job, I still support public funding and collaborative projects. And I see, especially for Precitech, that we would not have been able to bring innovation into our products without working together with universities and research institutes, and this all based on a public funding basis. So I have had some project with the Swiss partners in my career as well, and I see that Switzerland is also keen of funding that branch, that area of photonics. And I still think to be competitive against the US and China, we have to keep that funding business alive.
And the situation in France, how do you see? What is your experience?
Yes, just maybe to illustrate, and more regarding Switzerland for examples. Regarding ADAP, for example, if we speak about 3D printing, 3D printing is something very wide. Okay, you have a lot of different, all applications are 3D printing compliant. In our point of view, when you speak about Switzerland, you have some very good knowledge, for example, regarding watches and so on. Okay, and this kind of technology the solution needs to be in accordance with the request of the customers. Okay. So if you want to develop some specific solution regarding, for example, watches or luxury activities, of course, we have more interest to be able to have some link with a Swiss talent company and a Swiss talent laboratory. And that's why we are very interested, and we work already. And Xavier could say some words regarding that, for example, with one samples, with a laboratory in Switzerland. And we find a very good knowledge in fundamental research around the laser and so on. And the link between what we are able to find and the market associated in Switzerland is something very interesting.
Yeah, I'd like to add a comment on a kind of success story within Switzerland. Because coming from LASAK, we were founded beginning of the 70s as a spin-off of the Berner Fachhochschule. And at that time, the first lasers in Switzerland were developed to drill the watch stones. And that later on became LASAK, and so we continued until today. And still today, we have joint research projects with, for example, EMPA, and also the latest processing head that we developed, SmartWell Plus, that is able to deliver the energy in a very precise way and control the energy distribution in the world. Was developed in a joint research project with EMPA, and also now we have further projects coming up. And so for us, this network within Switzerland worked very well, and looks like will also in the future.
Okay, thank you. So now, Emil, it looks like it's very important, but what is really doing Switzerland, not only by bottom up, but either like special initiative from Swiss to say, okay, let's also to have a top-down and say, like thematics. Is there things like this in Switzerland? And maybe to bring also the other question is like we see that it's look like interesting also across the border. What is, for example, also Swiss doing try maybe to promote not only collaboration within Switzerland but also maybe a bit to the neighbors to Switzerland?
Yes. So we do have legal basis that we have to respect. The main activity is still bottom up, but we have started already last year with some impulse programs, so we can put the focus on some areas. In the case of the program that started last year was there was a specific focus on digitalization in manufacturing, which was also very interesting for photonics related aspects. We are going to do this again in the future. So these kind of focus areas will be repeated in the future.
Maybe just another question, but who decide? How can we have maybe impact on what will be the thematic or who decided that the impulse project suddenly should take place? Was it purely internally by the expert, by the mentor,
So this digitalization program was decided by the parliament. So it was voted by the parliament. So I guess you can lobby at parliament level. For other focus program without additional budget, it will be decided by the Innovation Council of Swiss. So the names are public. You can also discuss with them directly. And then for international opportunities that you mentioned, well, first of all, I was just reading some numbers at European level in the frame of the Horizon 2020 program. This domain is quite important. So I think 9% of the whole budget goes in photonics-related thematics, and this goes on until end of 2020. So there's still a lot of opportunities there. And also on the other side, when we see bottom-up projects also at European level, like the SME instrument program, we see that the success of photonics-related projects is even higher. So in the SME instrument, for example, I think 15% of the projects are photonics related. So this really shows the importance of the field. In Swiss, and it's interesting because France and Germany are partners of this specific funding program on photonics that is active now. We have this Eureka program. So this is something, again, I mentioned it before, but I would recommend you to look up on our website the details, because it's active now. So an academic partner and an industry from Switzerland can find a partner in France or in Germany, and then there will be funding available for this type of innovation projects.
Okay, so we see that there is some possibility for fundings, not only in Switzerland, but also cross-border. But one of the probably biggest question is, how do we bring this technology? Because we are all fan of advanced photonic. We are, I think, all fan in the panel of advanced manufacturing. How can we bring this technology to customers? How can we bring that? How can we make sure that other industry understand the importance of this technology? And how do you reach these people? Maybe I will come with Markus Danner.
Well, photonics is a very wide field. And even within that segment, take lasers is extremely wide. So, but being a provider of a very wide portfolio of wavelength and different pulse lengths, we are a contact for the customer to consult in production technologies. And on the other hand, we have to prove that day by day in application tests. So it's a very close cooperation with the customer and dedicated and aimed on the requirements and requests of the customers. And then it's about to find a solution together and find, for example, in laser, to find the right wavelengths, the right pulse length. And we did that in the past as LASAC quite successfully. So technology changed a lot since the 70s. And today the way of applying the energy and controlling the energy input is a lot more precise than it used to be in the past years, and we will continue down that path, working closely with our customers.
Maybe David Müller, one word. How do you reach? How do you bring your technology in industry?
Yes. So I just speak a little bit before regarding adapt solution, what we propose to our customers, and that's something that's critical for us. Basically, as it's a new technology, the role of our customers is not to be an expert in 3D printing. That's our job, not the job of our customers. So if you want that your customers understand clearly what they can do with 3D printing, you need to speak the language of your customers. Okay? So one job is to understand the language of our customers, we can say, okay, and to adapt your solution to the customer's requirement.
And to make your customer understand your language, our language.
Exactly, that's right too. That's something very important. And for that, you need to spend a lot of time to explain the customers that 3D printing is not only a new tool that you have, it's more than that. If you want to do something in 3D printing, you need to understand that it changes a lot of things in your company. For R&D, for example, for design, you don't design parts as you designed in the past. More of that, you don't speak about parts, you speak about a function. It's not the same. For example, if I show you that, this is only one part and not a lot of parts that we have mounted together. It's only one because you print it in one time. Okay, so it changed a lot the way of thinking. Regarding the production, it changed a lot of things too. Regarding quality, in the past, for the steel, you receive a certificate regarding the quality of the steels. With 3D printing, you create the quality of the steels during the production, so it's not the same. Okay? So for all of that, we developed some solution to explain customers to take time before start maybe buy a machines or buy some parts, and to be sure that they identify clearly people, the expected result, what they want to do, what they are expected in terms of result with 3D printing. It's something very important too, before they start to do something. Just one real situation I have 2 years ago at another exhibition. There is one guy who arrived and say, what are you doing? I say, 3D printing metal. Oh, I know that it's not for me. Okay, hello. Okay, hello. Why it's not for you? No, I know it's not for me, it's not for me, it's finished. Okay, can I have more information? I'm interested to understand. Oh, I have already buy one part, and no, it's quite expensive, I need to mill it, it's not nice. Okay, can I have more information regarding your part? If you want, I have the drawing. Oh, that's something very interesting. Can I look at the drawings? And he showed me a drawing of a very simple part that you can have in a few minutes by milling. Okay, I say, okay, I know one thing. You don't know if 3D printing is for you or not, and I don't know too. I'm sure of that, because it's not a good way to explore the technology. You do it by itself, without any accompany, yes, thanks, and so on. I'm really despite regarding this guy. And he say, no, it's not for me, bye-bye, and it's finished.
But if you start with, when someone comes to you and you say, okay, I have a part, and then you start to say, well, you know, it's very complex and so on. I mean, when I listen to you, I almost have fear that maybe this technology is too complex for my company with no experience.
No, that's not right. It's not complex. There is a method that you need to use before exploring 3D printing. Just a good question. For example, in another big company, they want to start 3D printing. Okay, the first part on which one they work is very simple parts, but they go to the guy at the services department and they ask him, okay, what is the part, which one is the worst one for you? Oh, this one. 8 months to have a new part, it's a catastrophe, and so on and so on. And so they work on this one because they know that with these samples, it's easy to explain the benefit of the technology to the people. Okay? They don't take a part like this one, the first one they find, but they think about how they want to demonstrate the interest of 3D printing. You have to go step by step, and we work a lot with customers to do this job, not too fast, not too slow, but with a very good method to assure for the customers to have the maximum benefit of the technology, and not the guy which one I speak about.
And also not only to focus on the part itself, but the consequence and the impact it has on the business, on the final product.
Then I'd like to go to Herr Kogelholascher. You said, well, laser has been on for years, and you say, well, we want to monitor the process. But is it a necessity? Because there are a lot of parts that are produced. Often it's known that generally if the range or the Windows parameters is okay, the piece should be good. Then how do you motivate your customer to say, hey, you don't just need a laser, you need to monitor to make sure that the piece is good because of what? Because of Murphy? Because of how do you motivate people to add in addition sensor technology in laser processing?
Again, I can agree with the guys from the additive section. It all depends on the part. So there are some parts which are laser processed, which have safety issues, where the whole production chain has to be documented, and for the documentation of the laser process itself, it's quite common to use sensors of many kinds. So there are cameras, there are photodiodes, there are other kind of sensor technologies which take the information during laser processing and put that into a server and document these processes, because sometimes you have to take or to have to keep these numbers for more than 10 years. So this is depending on the parts. On the other hand side, there are definitely some parts which do not need any kind of documentation or sensors because they don't have any safety regulations. Nevertheless, the decision whether sensors are needed or not nowadays is more or less given by a new production concepts, I would say. And the new production concepts are, for example, the buzzwords Industry 4.0, which is the documentation of every production step, to have individualized production, to maybe also being able to change features during production. And to change features, you need some eyes and ears, some senses in any kind of production module to really see if the slight change of the module or of the part really was successful. There is some a new trend which is called artificial intelligence, which definitely needs data, and data is made by sensors, is made by sensor technology. So I see definitely some kind of bright future for people or companies who build sensors for any kind of production. And especially as laser production is a contactless production method, it's easy to, more or less, it's easy to sell sensor technology which is also contactless. And that's why we are not facing that much problems in convincing customers to use sensors. It's sometimes hard to convince them that they have to pay for sensors, but to convince them that they need sensors is not that difficult.
Yeah, I can understand that if you're a company and you say, okay, you put a sensor and suddenly you reject 10% of the pieces, you say, well, it costs a lot of money for the sensor, but then there is a safety issue.
But they can improve their processing window by using sensor technology as well. I think you know that also. Yeah.
Beat, as a researcher, because you say, well, we want to improve process, we want to give a good process window, and now people put sensor to make sure you do a good job. how do you see the things?
I think you will need sensors in future, also to simplify the machines. If you buy, in our field, if you buy a machine which is dealing with femtosecond pulses, you have to hire an engineer to make it working. And this is.
So you want to bring intelligence in the machine to avoid to have the engineers? No.
No, but to be competitive, you need to simplify the processes. And for this, you need sensors, you need maybe artificial intelligence to optimize processes by itself. Because, I mean, if you only have a laser, one pulse, and so you can work, you can make models, that's what we are doing. But the trend now today is to make maybe burst pulses, a lot of pulses in a short time, then again, and then you have so much parameters where you cannot build models anymore. It becomes really complicated. So I think all these approaches with artificial intelligence, design of experiments and so will help. And there you need sensors, definitively. And another field is also if you want to machine a pocket, let's say with 20 micrometer depth. You have a material, it works, you change, you take more or less the same material from another supplier, then you have 21 microns. So then you can throw away the piece and start again. And that's why I think also their sensor gives you more certainty in the process and helps you to really speed it up and to reduce the waste.
Okay. One question from the...
Okay, hello. I was wondering who has the competence in artificial intelligence in Switzerland?
What I can definitively say, we not. So I think there are, from the basic research, I think maybe EPFL, I don't know exactly.
Maybe I'll answer this one.
And I know that SUPS in Ticino is doing a lot.
Basically, we have to be careful when we talk about artificial intelligence, because there is EDAP, for example, in Martigny, who also has a lab at EPFL. They are mathematicians. They work for Google, and when they want to recognize, generally it's either cat or speak recognition, and they speak about millions of pictures. I met these people and I explained my problem, and they look at my data and I say, it's no way I'm going to work with your data, right? They are too noisy, and the main people, I mean, then we have to be careful. I would say I see three categories of people in artificial intelligence. People who develop codes, they use database from internet, and they compare their algorithms compared to the other, and they say, I'm better or worse. They are mathematicians. Then we have the other guys who are mechanics, material scientists, or any engineers, and they say, I download something from internet, and I try to use machine learning or artificial intelligence, and with a bit of luck, it will work. But I'm always asking, well, if a material scientist will ask an informatic guy to check the microstructure, and then you have the guy in between who actually can speak with a mathematician and understand a bit the physics. But at the end, I think the solution is not to have a pure guy in artificial intelligence working on that. We work a lot on artificial intelligence at EMPA, but actually in my group I have one person who is excellent in machine learning, but he's a physicist, and he talks to the mathematicians, and then he makes a code, and actually the code is used by the guy who is on the machine. And if he's not happy, he goes back to Sergey and he say, hey, something doesn't work, we have to find maybe other way. And I think it's a good system in a sense that you bring also, because machine learning at the end it's a black box, but you can help a lot by bringing your know-how and your knowledge. And if you ask with Sergey, as a data scientist, his speech is like, give me some data and I will always find something. But if it makes sense or not, that's a different story. And I think if you really want to bring intelligence artificial in kind of control, you need to have people of artificial intelligence. There is SUPSI in Lugano. It's a applied science university, so it's an école d'ingénieur. There is some people, I think, at EPFL. I think probably one of the biggest is also EDAP in Martigny. And then you have people who are more familiar to machine learning for one specific application. But there is, and again, we have to be careful because actually when we spoke about artificial intelligence, it's like photonics. Everyone has a bit his speciality. So you have computer vision, you have machine learning, you have a lot of different people, and that is why I think it's important to discuss with a specialist, because the first things you need to know is, I mean, when you want to use artificial intelligence, I think the first things you have to do is to have the question. What is my question? What do I have to answer? Then I decide on the sensor, and then you decide on the algorithm. And then you have the right answer. And sometimes that's where I'm a bit careful when people say everyone has to share all the data together. We produce a lot of data, but if you use my data for my question and try to do something else, it might not work. And we had the case with one company where people say, hey, I did machine learning. A bit the same like you said, we use things and then it doesn't work. And he said, it doesn't work, like the piece of additive manufacturing. I know, because I tried. And then it was like, okay, can you make a demonstration that your system works if I shout or if I play trumpets next to the machine? Because I think it will not. I mean, it's just wrong, you know. Because the guy was not a specialist of artificial intelligence and he didn't realize that there are a lot of things that can be done. So, to answer your question, subit, EPFL, but if you want to be closer to industry and process, at EMPA we do a lot. We've been working for the last 5 years in this field, and we work in the three main categories, and also predictive maintenance. We start to have projects in this direction. Is there any? Yes?
I think there is a separate NTN on data-intensive services, no?
I don't know.
Yes, so there's an NTN on data in service. So probably a part of it's like photonics. So probably a part of it is also... Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
Hello, I have a question regarding laser additive manufacturing. In Switzerland, people talk thin small, like in the watch industry. What is the status now of applying laser additive manufacturing really in this small scale? What is status and what kind of efforts are people making to bring it to this scale? Thank you.
Thank you very much. That will be actually the next question, is in your different field, what is the state of the art? So if we talk about additive manufacturing, maybe Xavier, you could start.
I can start, yes. So for DED technology, today, so DED has been specialized in big parts. And also because of the size of the layer, which is too big to get today for the product. And it's part of how we can introduce additive manufacturing into industry with the help of EMPA today. So EMPA has the ideas and the competence to develop such application. So they have the brain, we have the hand. Today we are developing application. If we talk about the product, to be able to reach the expectation of the specification of watch industry. So today, in fact, for DED, I would say there is nothing industrial, but we are preparing for the future.
Maybe from coherent side?
Well, right now it's very difficult in the watch manufacturing industry because if you do 3D printing, there are requirements and the specifications, the part tolerances are extremely tight. So therefore, as he said already, grain sizes of the material you use have already a very big effect. So it'll get there, but it'll take some time.
Dr. Kogel-Hollacher, do you have some customer in industry, in watch industry?
Yes, but not in the field of 3D printing. As we just build components, we use companies like Beam or German manufacturers to use our modules. But with respect of sensor technology, definitely we have customers in watch industry. But I learned yesterday during the conference that here in Switzerland there is a lot of work going on into bringing 3D generation printing methods into the small and micro scale applications. So this is definitely one of the issues which have to be solved. If you go to, for example, watchmaking industry, you go into from millimeter scale into micrometer scale. And with respect to the additive material you use, if it's powder or wire, it's not getting easier when it gets smaller.
But I will maybe add one thing. When we speak also about watch industry, generally we are also not talking about steel in terms of materials. And there were also yesterday very nice presentation that if you start to go to very highly reflective materials, you also have to take that into account. And I know that in Switzerland, actually, maybe as Xavier said, there is no real solution today for industry. But there is a lot of research, there is a lot of project research with watchmaking industry to try to overcome the problem of these high reflective materials or noble materials.
But I just want to add something about watch industry. It's a good example about how you can put additive manufacturing in an industry. I think first you have the hype. Additive manufacturing, I would say infinite possibilities. Okay, there are some machines, we invest. But the problem is, what are the real applications, what we do with? And then you are just in front of, okay, we have the part. Next step is what we do with this part, post-finishing, etc., etc. And the problem is, so we have nice part, but the problem is how you treat them. And the example is additive manufacturing must be put into all the company, each step. So design office, R&D design office, production, finishing, etc. If you go too fast in one subject, I would say the maturity of all the additive manufacturing will be the weakest level of maturity into the company. So if all fields into the company are not at our mature level, your application won't work, you know?
So basically, if you want to bring additive manufacturing in the company, I'll come to you, Patrick, then it has to be more like a top-down in the company. So it has to come from or it has to be a decision level in terms of where do we go in terms of production at companies level to say, okay, we bring this technology and then we bring everything that we need. But it's not like top down where some engineers are responsible of production say, okay, I want to bring inside, because otherwise you might have only in one part additive manufacturing, but you will miss the other one.
Yes. Yeah.
Okay.
Thank you. I'm Patrick Hoffman from EMPA. Just want to answer your question in a different way. At this fair here, you can go to 2 or 3 booths where you see the status of 3D printing for watchmaking industry. I do not mention all the names now, I mention one, okay? But there are several ones, right? You could check at Cooks on Gold, where they have pieces printed in silver, gold, and they show the level after printing. And then we end up in the full chain, right? So there's post-treatment that is needed for platinum pieces. You can see it there, right? Others will follow, and as was discussed before, we are working even the step beyond. Okay, so wall width below 50 micrometers is very challenging, but I think it's feasible.
What are the limitations? Why we cannot, for example, like Patrick said, to make a 20 micron wall with a very nice roughness or whatever? Beat.
Our limitations. In my field, ultra short pulse laser processing, the development of the systems goes to several hundred watts, kilowatts. This is the way they go. I think they will be maybe industrial ready in 5 to 10 years. But the big question is how really to deal with so much power. How to distribute it onto the workpiece. if you have a spot of 20 micron size, this is not possible. You have really to think with new technologies how to machine with such high powers.
But what kind of new technologies? Is it, for example, the speed of the beam? Is it...
Yeah, speed of the beam is one possibility, but finally you are also very limited. You get into problems with shielding, you get into problems with heat accumulation. This limits the scalar process with the speed. So you have also to think on forming the beam, on creative technologies to make one pattern with one shot, such things. And there the research is not done yet. It's a lot of work.
So you still have plenty of years to stay in the field. And from the industry, Professor Dr. Kogel-Walharscher?
Let's put it like that. We are facing two situations. One situation is like Beat just mentioned. You have you develop tools, and the tools are looking for applications. And nobody right now knows if these tools or what will be the applications in the future. This always has been one of the situations we were facing in laser technology. On the other hand side, we have real applications, real customers, real customer interests, and we have to select the right tools to fulfill these interests. And sometimes these tools are existing, sometimes they are not existing, and we have to develop on these tools or modules for the fulfill the needs of the customer. 3D printing was one of the special examples in the last years where the interest in many companies came from the situation that suddenly 3D printing was mentioned in yellow press. So there were articles in non-scientific magazines which mentioned that 3D printing is the solution for everything in the future. And you can use 3D printing for everything. And that generated the hype, that sometimes generated the startup scene, and suddenly it came down to the situation that people were aware of the fact that you cannot do everything with 3D printing, and that you really have to see process limitations, processing limitations as well, process windows limitations, and if you nowadays go into micro or nano scale even, you have to see that the raw material you need to generate something has to be in that dimension, and to transport micro or nanometer scale particles, it's not that easy. For sure, on the Earth we have gravity, but gravity not always helps to bring these small materials into the processing regime. So it's always a question of where you come from, and actually in photonics we need both. We need those people like Beat who work on ideas, who work on new tools, which maybe you don't find an application today, but maybe in 10 years from now we need these tools. And on the other hand side, you need to the interest of customers like watch industry, which force us to think about which photonic tools we have to bring together to fulfill these needs.
Markus?
Thinking of micro applications, whether it is micro welding or cutting, in the watch industry, ultra short pulse lasers are quite common meanwhile, but of course also there, taking a femtosecond laser as an example, you can do virtually cold ablation without a heat affected zone in nearly any material. But then of course there's also the request that we need higher average powers to be able to do that faster and to increase ablation rates. So that's one demand. So in the watch industry it's not about 6 kilowatts, not really. You don't find the material that will last. It's about intelligent application and energy input in the material. Very discrete, very precise, and that on all levels.
Then let's continue. Xavier?
I will say on my side we talk about a lot of technique and technical spec, but I think also the limitation could be the collaboration, and I would say the lack of collaboration, which is not the case today. But for doing that today, we cannot develop things in just in our corner. And today, developing, so in my field, additive manufacturing, it's a multi-party development collaboration together between, so first in the center, the customer, then equipments with the help of R&D, for example, EMPA, but also with the help, we need also money for that. Mm-hmm. And then to find funds and also multiple techniques, laser, software, data analysis, etc.
But isn't it also additive manufacturing a bit kind of an exception compared to, I would say, general laser processing, in a sense that although it has been started a long time ago, it has been becoming very important, and actually there is a lack almost everywhere in terms of, as you mentioned, we need to first teach also the engineer to think additive manufacturing. Then if we think in terms of materials, there is what, 15, 20 materials that is available. Then there is a process, there is a post-processing. So actually, correct me if I'm wrong, but it looks like because of the know-how we have today on additive manufacturing, the limitation is rather strict in every single step at the moment.
Yeah, but it's also the capacity to put all these bricks together, as I said. You know, and also the question is also all these data to treat for analysis. Will we have the power?
Yeah, I'm a bit.
Analyze.
I'll make a comment on that after. Yeah. But maybe David Müller, what are the limitations today in your company? We talk about making piece for watchmaking, but we are talking. I mean, there are people talking about building houses on additive manufacturing. So, in your company, what are the limitations today in terms of what you can do and what you can propose to company?
Yes. Just to add something, yes, there is from it two different aspects. One, of course, is all technical aspect regarding spot size, thickness of the layer, the diameter of the powder you use, and so on, in order to have a better part and to improve the roughness of the parts. Okay, so that's one aspect, and of course we work on that, and that's critical regarding watches industry, for example, and so on. And another aspect in terms of limitation, and with luxury activity in general, we have this kind of limitation, is quite subtle maybe. When you speak to the designer, with 3D printing, you say to the designer something like, Pandora boxes is now available for you, because you are able to create what you want, more or less what you want, okay? And just after you say, okay, but in fact, no, because we are not able to finish the parts, depending how you build it, how you design it. There is some area on which one you are not able to polish, and so on and so on. And that's some specification mandatory for luxury activities, and so for watches and so on, of course, too. And so that's currently a limitation, not to say that it's not, it's not possible, but more to adjust what you are really able to do, not only according to 3D printing or additive manufacturing, but more regarding the whole processes, like Xavier said before. And of course, there is some development on the polishing and something like that, for example, outside additive manufacturing too. And that's something important. And currently, it's one limitation. I know that I can do a lot of things.
The laser polishing, we have a solution for you.
Yeah, I know that. But you can't reach all area with it. But it's a good
Not
idea.
yet.
Not yet. Perfect.
Then I think to go further, where we discuss a bit the limitation, but now where do you see that in your field will be the biggest, or what will need the biggest investment in terms of to make progress, to go over, to overcome the limitation that we have today? If you had one wish, what it would be? Then I'll start with the researcher, because generally it's where the crazy idea come from. Beat.
Exactly.
So, where would you see that's maybe from Suisse or possible fundings where it is important to invest to make a progress in your field of research, which mean like fast, ultra fast, short pulse?
Yeah, I think that's really the beam guiding technology, which is at the moment the bottleneck to do. Also to use maybe 50 watts in watch industry is not so easy. Yeah. So we still need there new ideas how to move, guide, and form the beams.
Dr. Gogel-Holhalscher?
If I had a wish today, on photonic,
you can have more than one.
Okay, but so. Definitely my wish would be that more people would become aware of the benefits of using photonic tools for their manufacturing processes. I think there are many applications which are still white on our landscape because maybe people are too restricted to use new technology. But in fact, I would see photonic tools as the only tool where you can really fulfill the digital photonic production. So directly go from the cut file to the product. And this is, I think, the unique selling position of photonic production today. And that's why I think we have to convince more people. We have to be more communicative with that respect. I know every company who is building, selling, manufacturing is doing their best, but still we can do better. And if it comes to the new production methods, which includes Industry 4.0, which include artificial intelligence, then I think there is no way to not use lasers.
I wanted to make one comment because before, Xavier, you spoke about big data, and I know it's a big word. I don't like this word because in a sense we had a discussion last week where people say, oh, I made 3 years of test. What can I do with the data? And I ask, what did you do the test for? What was the question? And he was like, I don't know. And I think before we start to speak about big data, we should maybe think a bit further and think about smart data. What do I do with my data? What do I want to have my data for? And we can have data to answer a question, and I think also what the person from Precisitech mentioned, we can also have the data to have a following of the process. And we don't answer the same question. It's not used for the same purpose. So before thinking about big data, it's like, what do I need my data for? And I would rather speak about smart data. Then, Markus?
If based on that data you are able to optimize the processes, because that's in the end the target. We are pushing the limits of physics all the time. We can't beat it, but we can drive it to the limit. And without applying new processes and new ways how to get the energy even more precise into the material than before, we won't get there. But before, we need to know and measure with sensors, with whatever we have, and see what is possible today and where are the limits, and then react.
Or a customer comes with a crazy demand, and then you have to fulfill the demand.
Well, it doesn't help just to collect data.
Yeah. I think we all agree on that.
Exactly. On the other hand, one point with Industry 4.0 is that the suppliers think that they might have access to data created by customers' machines, and they evaluate that, which is of course a very difficult question because companies don't like that. On the other hand, if you can use the data, if they have a problem and they come voluntarily to you, passing it on and say, okay, we have a problem right now, could you have a look at our files of the last week? That's acceptable. So it's always with the data. It's a difficult story.
Yes, I know very well. Xavier, a wish?
A time machine
What do you mean?
to accelerate time. Because on our side, we have identified a lot of solution, how to do it, and identify the field of improvement on the technology. But we need now time to develop them, etc. We have the vision, but we need to be patient. And it's also something which can sum up a little bit additive manufacturing, learn patience.
But because you spoke about the DAD, so direct...
Or LMD, laser metal deposition.
yeah, but you have also this technique developed also by the Fraunhofer where they just multiply the number of lasers. So what do you think about this approach? I mean, I know it's not in your field, but how can you then start to compete with this kind of technology when you say, okay, machining time? The other one say, well, okay, I have a powder bed and I multiply the number of lasers. How can you counteract this?
Yeah, but if you say that, if you consider powder bed technology as a competitor of laser or DED technology.
And you not?
And no, for
Okay.
us, and that's why we are now working together into the same group. We think they are complementary.
So then maybe elaborate a bit on that for people who are maybe not familiar with the two technology and how you...
So just to come back to the technology, DED is a technology on which we transport powder where we need to build something or add material, and we do the fission by laser. We have the possibility to do multi-material. We have possibility to work on a existing part, but we are sometimes limited by the complexity of the part. But today we have a deposition rate which is very high if we compare, and I don't like to compare with PBF, and PBF has, I will say, more precision today, more complexity in terms of geometry, but limited by the deposition rate, even if we multiply the laser, because there is a debate how you make them work together correctly, and also how much laser you will be again able to manage and to control in real time.
Okay.
And also you cannot, so multi-material, adding feature, and we work on the complementarity of the both technology. And maybe you can add
Then
something else.
Yeah, maybe David Müller, one wish where you see that we need the biggest money or fundings to move forward, more than one wish also possible?
It's difficult to add something. There is a lot of things already say, but if I need to add one word, I would say maybe hybridization, because I think that there is not only one technology, as Xavier say, which one is the perfect and no, it depends. It depends the application, the parts, maybe the area in the parts too. So in another word, maybe an hybrid machine with all the technology inside, in order to treat each area, could be something very marvelous. But
okay,
we speak about wish.
So we come slowly to the end. So maybe when we think again about advanced photonic and advanced manufacturing, I will just go through what is the take-home message from each of you, from the research, from Suisse, from the company that the audience should take. Let's start with you, Émile Dupont.
Yes, so I listened with attention and interest to this last part, especially. So the wishes. From my side, I can say we cannot provide time machines, but apart from that, so we have this bottom-up approach, which is interesting because all of these ideas could be funded potentially by our projects. Also, we have an instrument which is called Innovation Check, which is not so well known, but companies in Switzerland can ask any research institute or research team, for example, in Bern, to use their tools. And we provide 15,000 francs. It's not a huge amount.
Isn't it a limitation on the number of employees?
For this instrument, no. So it's companies. Companies can apply. And if the idea makes sense, then we provide a voucher of 15,000 francs that they can use to pay the access to the tool. This one,
It's a bit to SMEs, yeah.
yeah. So it's 250 employees, yes.
Okay, it's what I was recalling, and I was like, oh, maybe I'll change my strategy.
Yes.
Okay. Anything else as a conclusion from your side?
So I think once again, bottom-up approach, but we identified the photonics as an important field, and we fund the NTN, the National Thematic Network.
Beat?
Yeah, I think the advanced photonics production has just started. It's a lot of work to do, and it will change the world.
Yeah. Then if it's just starting, I'm a bit afraid with the strategy of Germany where they start to decrease the financing. So I hope it will not be really the case. But a final word from...
Yeah, so based on my experience of working in collaborative projects, and based on my experience being on conferences in the US and China, and being able to maybe compare the activities going on in all over the world. If we in Europe really on a European level put together our intelligence with respect to photonics, manufacturing photonics tools, artificial intelligence, I think we will be a world leader in these manufacturing processes, and we have to see that maybe artificial intelligence as just being a software tool is maybe faster being built in the US or in China, but the combination of new production methods, new software intelligence and photonics, I think this is the speciality of Europe. And if we work together and not against each other, I think this would be some kind of bright future for all of us.
Thank you very much. Markus Danner?
I actually agree. I think, for example, one huge advantage of Switzerland is the big pool of people who know high precision manufacturing in detail. Origin probably was the watch manufacturing, but from there it spread into a lot of different branches. And I also agree with Marcus on that photonics is right at the beginning, because there was always the saying that a laser is a tool in search of an application. And it's still like that. We are not at the end. It's a huge field, but with the focus on more and more precision, there's a lot research to do in detail, because it's really, I mean, it's a lot of different materials, new material combinations, always thinner. And so there are collaborations with research institutes like EMTA, like everywhere in Switzerland. And having InnoSwiss, I think, is a great base to get further.
Xavier, take-home message for the audience from your side?
Yeah, so to come back about additive manufacturing and my daily work as a business developer, I hope that this roundtable, I will say, made you afraid about, there are a lot of limitation and maybe, I would say, developments to be done. Today, application and industrial application in additive manufacturing does exist. This is a fact, even in a DED. So there are. So on your side, just know that. So keep you informed. Try to implement this subject as a global subject for all the company. There are solutions. There money or in funds, and yeah, keep it as a future strategic subject into your company. And see you next year.
Then we started with you, David. We finished. I will make a final comment.
Okay, thanks. No, all it's already said. So no more just yes, additive manufacturing. Just start. It's the beginning of a marvelous story and something very incredible, I think so. Don't be afraid regarding 3D printing. I hear a lot of companies who say that I'm afraid with 3D printing. Never be afraid, but go on it with method, and we are here for that and to help you.
To conclude, Churchill said after the Battle of Britain, it's not the beginning of the end, it's just the end of the beginning.
So maybe just one word from me to conclude, because we are working also in photonics in two areas. So the one is the laser, the second one is all the sensors that we have. And I think we all agree that certainly that the future is also the combination of a highly dynamical process with a state-of-the-art sensor, whatever it is, and artificial intelligence has potential. Now, if it will fulfill all the demand for the industry, that is a different story. That we are just at the beginning of it, but the potential, I think, is there. And I will again underline the point what you mentioned is that collaboration, not only within a country but throughout Europe, is very important if we want to keep up with China, because in China I think they invested 50 billions in the next 3 years of artificial intelligence, and if we start to work separately in Europe, then it will be extremely difficult to fight against. So with that, any final comment one? Then I thank you very much for your attention. Thank you for all the speakers, an applaud for them, and thank you very much for your attention.